All right, Kiss Army, welcome to the KissFAQ Podcast. Thank you for giving us your time today and letting us into your head. I hope we don't do any damage. This is a Kiss-related podcast by the board, for the board. We hope that you enjoy. Welcome to episode 175 of the KissFAQ Podcast. I'm your host, Julian Gill. I have no idea where we're going today, but we're going to do a show, and wherever we end up is where we end up. So joining me this week is Lonnie, St. Louis Kiss.
What's up?
69th Blizzard, Ken.
How's it going?
And from the Great White North, Marcus Almighty, Mark.
Greetings.
Gentlemen, good to see you again. It seems like a couple of weeks since we were last together to have a discussion in between. Obviously, we did the episode with Joe and Andy about the gathering going on in Miami for the cruise. I'm still excited. Great response to that, so thank you all for watching it. Other news. Let's just go through a few things that have happened recently. Vincent at the Gene Simmons Nashville Vault Experience. Who is surprised that he showed up? I am absolutely amazed that he did actually show up, and he was late. And he kind of annoyed Gene by being late and got left up on stage. I don't think the two had actually communicated quite properly about how things were going to work and the expectations on either part. What I will say is Vinnie's obviously working out.
He looks a lot better than he did in Atlanta.
He looks fitter. He still looks happy. Just that he was there was absolutely amazing with Gene. I don't think Gene is ready for a, what would that be, Mark III
Kumbaya?
Kiss. Yeah, he's not ready for the Kumbaya with the whiz. But again,
he goes, "Oh, settle down, settle down. Now, watch the Love Fest." Or something.
Yeah, settle down. Did you miss me? No. I mean, Gene went all grumpy cat. I loved it. I mean, I tried to get a good screen capture out of that. Mike Bruns shot some great video again, as did someone
Joe Odell.
Joe Odell. Yeah, okay. So thank you all for sharing those experiences with us so that we could watch from afar. I was actually logged on to Facebook to watch one of the live streams while it happened. I wanted to get away from talking about the vault, but it just seems absolutely impossible with everything that's going on. The Gene Simmons Band, the mighty Nashville Guitar Mafia were there and blasted through a little bit of an acoustic set. What I did here, absolutely fantastic. So if you manage to capture more than that, I would love to get the rest of the set list and know exactly what they did. So very exciting times. I think Gene's in Dallas this weekend at a private residence for the vault experience, and it's the full vault experience. It's not a home experience. It's just someone, I guess, is able to share out their house for the event, which should be interesting. So can't wait for reports of that. If that's got any special rules attached to it, do please respect them. With your Facebook streaming, we don't need to have a play-by-play, but hope to get it after the fact in the very least. Let's just hit a couple of other quick vault topics. Peter Criss, he did the New York one.
Yeah.
What do you think of that? Was it good enough for him just to show up and that be it? Hi, goodbye, take my vault. Or should Peter have done more? I think he did more than enough for how he'd been treated with the invitation just to show up and not get involved. Good enough?
I'm surprised he even showed up. I thought they probably would have just said, no, thank you, I had something else planned or whatever, but at least he showed class that he showed up for that,
Yeah, he didn't shoot anything either. Didn't shoot any Christmas trees or TVs, so good on you, Catman. But what about Paul Stanley? He was in New York, and he was actually tweeting photos of places in... what the hell was that?
Nothing. I just typed something to you guys.
Okay.
I was trying to do something discreetly, and it didn't work. Never mind.
Yeah, that was not discreet. Now I'm going to have to check to see if that comes up on the video.
I didn't see anything.
Sorry.
All right. So was Paul's tweeting passive-aggressive attack on Gene's New York City vault that, hey, I'm in New York City and I'm not coming to your vault experience, you big goofball? What do you think?
Well, I don't know, but isn't he confirmed to do the one in Las Vegas? So I don't know.
He was before Gene made certain statements in Nashville. So he was. That ship may well have sailed by now. I don't know. I hope Paul doesn't take any of those comments, to heart, because I think Gene was just being lighthearted about, hey, this is the songwriting process, etc., etc.
Yeah.
I'm not attacking Mr. Stanley in any way, but
Yes.
Yeah, I think that was just a slip of the tongue, so to speak. But
I think he was just blinded by Vinnie's appearance, and he was just thinking that way.
Nice.
Wow.
But I mean, another thing that I was kind of curious about, did you guys read those comments from Vinnie's ex-handler or roadie? How he said that they've been unceremoniously booted from his collective there?
Well, is there any ceremonious way of doing it? If new people come in and take over management, there's often a clearing out of the old people. It happens in government. It happens in the workplace. It happens everywhere. It's not always nice, especially if someone's been his roadie for 30 years. Well, think about what being Vinnie Vincent's roadie for 30 years has actually entailed, considering the guy hasn't been on the road since 1988. I'd say that's been a pretty easy 30 years. Maybe
strenuous.
Yeah, maybe hanging out and tuning a guitar now. I have no idea what it entails, because he didn't do much in 96, 97 during the original Expo run. So tuning the guitar at Atlanta, again, you have to remember that, like royalty, like politicians, there's no loyalty. It's all about the dollar.
Yeah.
You're all expendable. No one actually, no matter how much they say you love you, forget it. It's like, beware of the compliments of kings, because one minute they're saying they love you, the next you're having your head chopped off.
It's just odd, because I mean, all through this time we've been hearing nothing but positive comments, how great spirits he's in and what kind of a great person he is to hang out with, and now all of a sudden someone comes out of the woodwork and says that he's just a nightmare again. So it's almost like they're purposefully trying to throw a wrench into the gears now,
Well, he may well be a nightmare. He may be very difficult to actually get from point A to point B, but he's getting from point A to point B, whether he's dragged, kicking and screaming. He's going through it now, which, is half the battle. So is he probably difficult? I would think that there's very little difference now, except a little bit more motivation now that a little bit of green is flowing. Come on, I mean, money motivates, and money also says, well, I'm not fucking giving you 10% or whatever. Forget it. I've got this dude who'll do your job and his job, and I get more green, he gets some green, and we're all good. Because who's it about? No one's going to make money unless it's Vinnie Vincent. There's so many other factors that we're not privy to. Don't forget, he's got a lawyer. I don't think he got rid of him. Like probably like gum on the shoe anyway. You're not getting rid of that. So whatever. It's all good. I mean, there's more appearances being announced. Vinnie, of course, did do the spooky, whatever it's called. I have no fucking clue. But he did
Orlando.
He did it, and the photos look great. Mm-hmm. There were smiles, there were hugs, there was, obviously he's enjoying what he's doing the way he's doing it. So how long it will last, I neither know nor care. Again, I got to see him in Atlanta. I hope to see him again. That would be Miami for the cruise, the pre-show. And apart from that, I really don't care. I mean, I hope everyone who wants to see him gets to see him, and that Vinnie makes lots of green in the process. I'm perfectly fine with that. I hope people love his fleece blankets with his 1986, invasion picture on. He's got merch. He's selling merch. He's selling T-shirts. I've seen people with them. So it's at
good.
Least, everyone was wondering what the hell happened to Vinnie Vincent. Well, he's back. And he's doing stuff, and I think that's positive. Whether or not he's not getting bad in Kiss, no way. But
you know what I'm actually really surprised about is that, and I hope I don't start anything by saying this, but there's been very minimal chatter about where's my box set. All this time that he's been back, nobody's been really, bringing that up again, which is good. I mean, good for him. I hope he put that fire out and.
I've seen a few motherfuckers in comments. Where's my fucking archives? Again, $100, 20 years. I've seen the comments, but do they have any compunction to actually pay for a autograph session at Spooky, say, to confront him, throw good money after bad just to get thrown out. And I'm sure Vinnie and his team have thought of all eventualities when it comes to that. I hope so. Well, whatever, it is what it is. There's no getting away from it. He sold a line in Atlanta about what he was going to do for all the people who had done it. Mm-hmm. Whether or not it happens, who knows? Give the guy a chance, maybe.
Mm-hmm. We'll see.
We will see. All right, let's get away from the vault topics. Jesus. And get into today's discussion, unless anyone... Mark, let's get a quick update on you before we get into today's topic. How are things going on the vinyl of A Brand New Day?
Oh, it's going very good. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that hopefully Monday I might hear something about coming to pick up the finished product. If that's the case, then I will be making some video updates to let everybody know what's going on, and I will be sending stuff out relatively quickly after that point. But like I said, I don't have a confirmed date yet still about when I'm going to be picking it up. But it should be any time now. They did say it'll be around this time, roughly, that I should be expecting a call. Again, Record Store Day was a thing that has kind of delayed it. I got that confirmed again a few days ago that they're just swamped. Like, apparently the foreman at the pressing plant is almost like pulled half his hair out with the amount of stuff he has to do in between now and like this weekend. So I could just imagine how it must be, getting all this done and people panicking, calling him, when's my stuff done? When's my stuff done? So I'm patient. I just want mine done properly because, like I've said many times, I refuse to give my supporters any kind of shitty product. So I'd rather wait and get something good than rush and get something garbage, right? So, and as for that, a lot of other people have been asking what's going on with my next record, and I'm pleased to say that as of tomorrow, I'll have all my rhythm guitar parts done, and the drums will be done. I'll be moving on to bass. I'm about a quarter way done, so maybe in a couple of weeks I should be approaching vocals, and that's about the halfway point, and another record should be in the can sooner than later.
And I'm glad to see you wearing that T-shirt, Mark, because the Rock and Pod Expo is full, all systems go for August this year, so I will be back in Nashville for that. All right, I think that's it on all the tangential stuff, other than reminder, Indie Kiss Expo coming up in May. Be there, or you're going to miss the mother of all expos. It's absolutely insane what the gang have put together for that, and I can't wait. So, all right, today's topic, Kiss's longevity. What can or should the band do to keep Kiss alive and well? How should they draw new and younger fans, or should they even be drawing new and younger fans? Didn't they do that once in the 70s and it didn't work out so well? And, if you're the head of marketing for Kiss, what are some of the ideas that you think that they should be pursuing at this stage of their career in order to, to kind of keep themselves going? Ken, let's get some initial thoughts off you on that as the voice of reason.
Yes. Well, I mean, we just heard another recent interview with Paul Stanley, and he sees, again, he always keeps saying that he doesn't need to be in the band, and they're going to continue. So, with that in mind, how do we keep Kiss relevant or out there in the public, where people are buying things? I mean, sure. I think it's smart that they're, doing some of the comic book stuff, crossover stuff there, just to, get people who read that, read those things, like, what is this, I was also thinking that maybe they almost need to, there's a possibility that they need to either, we talked about it before, buy their music back, get their music back somehow, all their rights, so they can do stuff with it and really expand on things. Or the other possibility is sell Kiss. This may be bad, but to something like Disney. I mean, I know it sounds bad, but
you're supposed to be the voice of reason.
I know, but I'm saying,
Kiss into the Avengers.
We're talking about future. Keep it going in some fashion with their music, and I don't know if they can even do new music after that, but maybe they could write it and for other new Kiss members to perform. But yeah, I mean, they're like Star Wars kind of thing. Disney does a pretty good job of stuff and getting it out there. I don't know. They could turn it into
Star Wars Episode 1.
Star Wars.
Yeah. Becomes Vinnie is like Jar Jar or something.
Part 2. But no, I was thinking more, they can get superhero kind of stuff with music, but it's kind of hard. Well, those are initial thoughts, but there's a lot of other ways, I think, to get themselves out there, especially if they do what do you want to call it, Kiss 2.0, where we discussed where they have like a Vegas group there, and then something over in New York or wherever, doing different things. I don't know. That's some initial thoughts.
Okay,
maybe not too good.
Lonnie, you're now the official voice of reason on this podcast. Yeah. Would you please talk us down from the ledge?
Turning the mantle over.
Ken, I've been disappointed in you in the past. On multiple occasions I have, absolutely. But never to this extent. So, I think, and this is a true story, I think what they did with the Scooby-Doo movie a couple years ago was actually a really good thing. And I have an example. I went to a wedding on Friday night, and the DJ was it was a friend of my wife's, but the DJ was actually a groomsman at my wedding. So a mutual friend of ours got married. She hired one of my best friends to be the DJ, and he's giving me trouble as I'm going through the line getting food. And he told, as he makes the announcement for people to go get their food, he goes, if you have any requests, for the music tonight, come on up and see me. And this one little girl, Kate, went up to him and she goes, "My favorite band is Kiss. Can you play some Kiss?" And he looks at me and goes, "Lonnie, this girl wants me to play Kiss. Or said it's her favorite band." She said that she saw them on the Scooby-Doo movie and they're her favorite band.
Wow.
So, that's a true story that really happened just 6 days ago. So I think that them doing that, as much as fans our age or even older fans than that, or fans that are younger than us even kind of cringe at like, oh, geez, what are they doing? This is terrible. They are tapping into a new market, just as Family Jewels tapped into a new market for them. So I think the Scooby-Doo thing was really good. They are supposedly doing another one. I think it's a great move for the band. If you don't like it, no one's twisting your arm. You have to go buy the new Kiss Scooby-Doo movie. But I think it's a great venture for them that will move product and help a ensuing tour, hopefully.
Yeah, I think one of the things that you touched on there perfectly is that they're maybe working on new stuff in the cartoon realm. I would love to see anime in a kind of manga Japanese style, because Kiss, Japan, that cartoon style, I mean, I haven't watched any of that stuff since, the early 90s, and I think Akira or, some of that shit, ancient stuff by this, but to kind of transpose Kiss into that visual style would be really cool and kind of edgy in a way that kids today could really kind of, maybe connect with the music in the background. Again, if Kiss did all the incidental music like they kind of went back and did with Attack of the Phantoms, or, when they pumped in all this stuff in the solo albums, they kind of figured out, we've done this movie, maybe we should use it as a promotional tool, Attack of the Phantoms, duh. So that would be kind of neat. But you also said something else, Family Jewels. Both Ken and I were there in LA when that first guy in line said, "I only became a fan because of Gene Simmons' Family Jewels." And I've bagged on that show, no pun intended with Gene, but for years. I mock it. I hate it. I've watched very few episodes. I thought it was completely cornball. But here's a guy who's just dropped $2,000 for a Gene Simmons Vault event because he became a fan of Kiss because of Gene Simmons' Family Jewels. That means that I'm completely wrong. I'm cool with that. I think that's absolutely fantastic. It's again a vehicle. I don't want to see another season of Gene Simmons' Family Jewels. I just think it's kind of run its course. Where would kind of Kiss work on TV for me now? Paul Stanley, cooking show. cooking and lifestyle. You know, people make fun of when he takes photos of stuff on Instagram of what he's cooked, his Brussels sprouts and stuff.
Sure.
Watch me chop up my onions.
I totally, I don't expect him to go Rachel Ray, rock and roll preacher while preparing stuff, but I think he could certainly, come on, Mario Batali's Fallen from Grace, a lot of the Wolfgang Puck, Bobby Flay. Paul Stanley? Why the hell not? I mean, as a rock star, the guy can talk to the camera. The guy can explain in a coherent sentence what he's doing and some of the lifestyle choices that he makes that relates to what he's cooking. So Paul Stanley cookbook, cooking show, tie-in, get him with Giada De Laurentiis, whatever. Any of the Food Network sort of, obviously I watch the Food Network. I've just kind of proven that point by naming some of the people who were on the show.
A little too many.
All right, Emerald. There you go. Happy now? All right. But I think Paul would be fantastic at that sort of thing. Again, he takes so much time doing his Brussels sprouts and actually frames a beautiful picture for Instagram. Why the hell not? If Gene Simmons can do it on, Family Jewels on reality TV, why doesn't Paul take a different tact on something that's closer to his kind of level and get into it? Because I'm sure he would love to actually cook with some of the big name chefs that are out there on TV, maybe some of the rock star gourmands who would love to come in and eat. I mean, think of like, what's that show, Chopped? Come on, Paul Stanley as one of the judges on Chopped with some of those guys and getting some of these rock star chefs to compete in front of him. I mean, that would be, hey, you win Chopped with Paul Stanley, you get to be Paul in Kiss 2.0.
Nice.
Surprise.
Complete idiocy, but, there you go. I only see it being Gene or Paul being able to keep the band in the public eye because Gene and Paul are, the iconic figures within that band. Everyone's, they're aware of Tommy and Eric. They're aware of the roles that they portray, but they don't have the same commercial cachet as Gene and Paul, as the Demon and the Star Child, the rock and roll preacher and the, the blood-spitting, drooling, lascivious, bat-like demon, whatever the fuck you want to call him. Mark, what are some of your thoughts about longevity?
Well, I think Lonnie hit it on the head with the what was that there, the Scooby-Doo thing, because actually the funny thing is I had the exact same thing happen with me with my side of the family too. My nephew, I gave them a copy of that Scooby-Doo movie a while ago, and the same thing. They watched it a couple of weeks later. He came and said that he loved Kiss now because of that. So it does work as a vehicle for bringing younger people into the fold, right? The thing about what you said about the cooking thing, I mean, I know my initial reaction was to laugh at it, but I think it is a good idea in the sense that as long as you're in the eye of people, you will keep the thing that you're trying to get rolling going. Because the fact of the matter is, I've seen already one band who's took themselves right out of the public eye, which is Rush. I mean, I haven't seen heads or tails of anything from them once they've retired. They were dead serious that they were calling it a day when they said that. I mean, the only thing that I've heard lately was that they're just doing some blue vinyl reissue of 2112. A big deal. That's nothing. Like, they haven't been anywhere. I haven't seen them just maybe Geddy Lee appearing at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Like, that's about it that I've seen from anything with Rush. So that's the most important thing, is you have to be in the public eye if you hope to get any of this stuff, to continue to go. I mean, one thing that I've always thought that was important, but we've kind of touched on this as to why they can't really do this too much, is to put out specialty product. And the problem with that is, especially when it comes to music, they don't own any of their stuff. So they have no way of doing it. I mean, I keep thinking of bands like Crimson and all these other bands like Supertramp and other bands that put out these box sets of great things, and then they appear on different music shows or different podcasts hyping it and stuff like that. I mean, that's another way to do it, but they unfortunately can't do that because they don't have any say with their music. right? Until that changes, or if it ever does change, they don't have a prayer in hell of doing that. So they need, to do the television end of stuff. I think you're absolutely right, because the only other thing that they were able to do to keep themselves in public eye is perform. And if they're not going to be doing that anymore, then their chances of keeping this rolling for much longer will dwindle unless they do something more serious like that. Like you said, maybe a cooking show or whatever, or Gene does some sort of, business show, or who knows what, like just something where that keeps them in the public eye. That's just the main thing. Whether it's complete crap or not, the bottom line is if I don't like it, somebody else will like it, most likely, right? But the main thing is you have to be in front of people, and if you're not, then you're not going to be heard, and that's it.
Well, as for TV, I had also been thinking that, right now, for instance, all those music shows are on, The Voice and that Idol's back, and I guarantee that, for instance, like Lionel Richie, right? He's on American Idol right now. I guarantee that his sales, him just being on that show, his sales of his music is getting a spike from that. I could see maybe Gene or possibly even Paul being the judge on one of those type of shows, which would be interesting, I'm sure, especially with Gene's comments that he comes up with sometimes. But I think that being on TV and even that form, and like what Julian said with the cooking kind of deal, get them out there. I mean, and there's other reality shows that they could be guests on. I don't know if maybe there's car things, and I don't know if I know Paul Stanley's a big car freak. He likes his he designed that one special where it was a Corvette, I think.
Corvette, holy shit!
Right. So I could see him being on one of those, kind of, as a guest on one of those types of shows, and it gets in that who's that guy?
Yeah, I don't really see that working, other than him saying, "I want pink, I want that color." I don't see him talking carburetors and gear timings. I just don't. I don't think he talked that. He's got a guy at the car wash for that.
Yeah, definitely. Right. So I don't know. I agree, though. I need Scooby-Doo. The next movie's, I guess, is coming. I don't know when, but I know they were working on it. So it's a good way to get them while they're young, I guess.
Yeah, Lonnie, public eye, Lonnie. What do you think about getting Gene or Paul as a host or as a critic on one of these shows? I'd be down with Gene, because he's got more of a suck.
I think that's a great idea. And I remember when Kiss was on American Idol back in 2009. If you went on iTunes the next day, it was like the most downloaded video. You could buy like that clip of them on iTunes for them being on American Idol, and it was the most downloaded thing on iTunes for like a week and a half or something like that. It was, and it spiked their popularity on iTunes too. Like their songs and their albums got a huge spike. And this is going back. I guess it was 9 years ago now that happened. But my niece was in daycare or something after school, and a girl was watching her, and the girl was talking about Kiss the next day, because they were on. The high school girl was talking about Kiss the next day. Was babysitting my niece after school, and my niece is like, "What?" She's like, "Oh yeah, Kiss is on American Idol." She goes, "Oh my gosh." I was single at the time. She goes, you should meet my uncle if you like Kiss." She's talking, and like she gets her phone number and gives it to me. Like, that's a little weird, but anyway. But my point is that someone who doesn't even know who Kiss is was all of a sudden just wrapped up in them because it was such a electric performance. Not that I expect Kiss to go on a reality show and perform every week if Gene's a judge, but I think Gene being a judge on a reality show could mean a huge spike for ratings. Heck, if Howard Stern can do it for America's Got Talent, I think Gene Simmons could definitely do it for one of these reality type shows and be fantastic at it, because Gene's a funny guy, and he's a quick-witted guy, and he could have great one-liners when somebody's up there. And you see it from all these vault experiences, which are they follow a certain path, and Gene knows what he's going to do every week, because he kind of follows the same kind of thing. Oh, this is how I put together this song. This is how I put together this song. But he is quick, though. and if somebody says something to him, he has a quick response to him. I think he'd be great on a show like that.
But you know what, though? I think there's one thing, though, that we're kind of avoiding here, which I think needs to be brought up, is eventually KISS is going to have to start bringing up who these possible replacement people are going to be. I mean, the problem right now is that there's so much focus on just them two right now that's their only hope of making this go any further. If they were to start maybe at least insinuating that they're trying to find somebody else to take over these positions, I think they would be interested in number one to some degree to see who could possibly come in and step into these shoes. But I mean, they have to pass the baton. I mean, look at a band like Yes, for example, when nobody thought that they could replace John Anderson ever on vocal, but they brought in a couple of guys, and after a while now, I know because I deal with Yes stuff on a daily basis with my podcast. But the thing is that there's come a point now where a lot of the Yes fans have no issue with there being another guy, and a lot of fans are even saying, well, I don't even care that John Anderson's not in the band anymore, believe it or not.
Mark, 15 years later, there's still people butthurt over Tommy Thayer. Do you really think that applies to KISS?
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm saying though,
you put that star makeup on someone else. My
God, are you shitting me?
The FAQ is gonna crash.
Even Peter Criss. I mean, people are totally cool now.
Yeah. Well, okay, if that's true, then I have news for you. Then there's going to be no more KISS, and that's it. So because if you're going to be butthurt about it,
are KISS fans going to be that desperate to continue that they will actually then say, well, it's Gene and Paul getting replaced now, so that's perfectly fine, where it wasn't okay with Tommy. We ranted and raved and got banned on the FAQ message boards like 90 times per person over 15 years because Tommy was wearing Ace's makeup because Ace didn't want to wear the makeup. And it'll get to the same point with Paul and Gene that they don't want to wear the makeup, that they want to walk away from it.
I know all this.
Yeah, I know, but
what I'm trying to tell you is then ask yourselves this. Then ask yourselves this. Is the band music that important to you or not? Because if you really like their music and want it to continue, then you better just pucker up and shut up and just get over it if you want them to continue. If not, then guess what? Bye-bye KISS. That's going to be the end of it.
You're saying them continue. Who's them?
Well, whoever is going to take over, they have to bring other people in, right, to continue the band.
If I want to hear their music, who's their music? Who's their music?
Nameless ghouls in search of new personas.
Their music is Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley's music.
KISS's music.
The music they write. The music Gene and Paul write.
That's what it's all about.
Not some new guy's music. I don't have to like some new guy's songs that he writes, and we're going to slap a KISS label on it. I like the songs Gene and Paul write.
I like Deuce. Well, that was written by Gene. Who are these guys? I don't want some new guy having songs written for him by Paul Stanley. So Paul says, "Well, I think you can do a decent enough job on being me on this song," because I just don't see Paul Stanley being able to do that, to be honest. But
so
Gene maybe can.
So they just do the KISS catalog of songs. These new guys. I mean, I see Mark's point. I mean, a lot of the current form of KISS is a lot of people's, the younger fans, their first version of KISS, and that's what they know as KISS with Eric Singer and Tommy Thayer and Gene and Paul. That's their version. So that's when they came in. They came into them at that point. So I could see Scooby-Doo or whatever later on, and there's another version of KISS out there. They come into it, and that version of KISS, whatever it is on stage, is going to be their version, their KISS versus. But yeah, sure, and hopefully they're going to go back and like, oh, okay, this has been, there's been these other guys in it, and it started here, and then these guys went in and came out, and they had the makeup off, the makeup on, so on. So I don't.
I just find it interesting that this is probably the only band I've ever seen that has such a hard time moving forward. I mean, so many other bands have gotten people out of there and moved forward and continued with their band, but for some reason, this is the one band that refuses to do that.
Well, when did they refuse? So ACDC. They're making a new album. supposedly. That's
Axel DC.
I know.
I will be in line to buy that fucker too.
Oh my gosh, yes!
I'm totally down with that.
Oh my gosh, yes! It'd be unbelievable.
Go figure.
Well, there you go. See?
But you want to talk about when did they stop moving forward? Well, how about slapping Ace Frehley's makeup on Tommy Thayer? But you want to slap Paul Stanley's makeup on some new guy.
But they did keep...
they
kept moving forward. They kept moving forward.
It's Kiss. It is the makeup.
No, I'm just saying that, but you guys are making it... It just sounds like the whole issue is about the makeup. Maybe that's why it's such a big problem. I mean, all these other bands that don't wear makeup, there's no problem. But this guy quits or he has bad health issues, we have to replace him, boom, they get somebody else in. 2 weeks later, sure, a couple of people are upset about it, but then they continue. But, I mean, with this band, it's like, God forbid that I even put makeup on my face because, he's trying to be Paul Stanley or whatever, Like, this is, I understand it's almost like it's all based around these sacred costumes, And I understand it. People have grown up with it. Kiss is very important to a lot of people. They were important to them when they grew up and stuff like that. But, I would love to have Kiss around for years to come or to have my young nephew, get into them and see them on tour.
We're doing this on purpose.
It's just not...
Got the voodoo going on Mark's.
Connection,
you know what happened, Mark, don't you? Your connection just went... The monologue filter's working out real good here. The moment any of us go on.
But you know what? I started back, of course, 77, as we know. I'm willing to see what the heck happens if they actually do it.
See?
And I'm going to give it a chance. I'm open-minded. You got to give it a chance. You just can't say no.
Ken.
Yeah, but you're reasonable.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to get the voice of reason back.
Most of the Kiss army is not. But then again,
most Kiss fans are not reasonable people.
Yeah, but most of the people who would go and see Kiss in the future don't give a fuck. It's the casual people who want to hear that core. And one of you mentioned it before, that it's not necessarily about making new music. It's about getting four monkeys up there who can play Calling Dr. Love, Detroit Rock City, Rock and Roll All Night. Basically animatronics. Where, Kiss has become Kiss Meets the Phantom. Just put some fucking robots up there, 4 holograms. And
Chuck E. Cheese.
Holograms are cheaper than people. Come on. Do you want to end up with like the Nameless Ghouls situation of them suing because they feel underappreciated? No. It's just actors. Basically is all that's needed. Actors who can basically hold an instrument and play along to a mime track. And you have Paul Stanley in his prime piped in. The guy only has to open his mouth and...
so you're saying Milli Vanilli. I mean...
But you know what? I'm going to bring up something else. I'm just really curious about your opinions on this. And I'm actually serious about this. What are your guys' opinions on the Australian Pink Floyd? That tribute band. Like, for example, a lot of Floyd fans think that they're the next best thing to Pink Floyd to go see, and they know they're never going to see Pink Floyd again. But guess what? When they come to Montreal, there's 12,000 seats sold for them.
Yeah. Same with the British one. Brit Floyd sold out Sandstone Amphitheater. That's the one I've watched on YouTube. Absolutely fucking insane, the job that those guys do. I don't know the Australian one per se, but I get what you're saying. Again, it's with Pink Floyd, for me, it's more about the music and the stage show than it is about the people who are actually performing the music, because you've got a guy up there who can do the bends, David Gilmour style. You've got someone up there who can kind of do the attack on the bass, like Roger Waters. But you're kind of blinded more by the laser show, the lights, the ambiance. And most of them are smoking dope anyway, so they couldn't fucking care less.
So then are you? So this is very, very interesting then now, because so then are you saying now that this is a complete different story than with Kiss? It's not so much about the music; it's more about the show that you're worried about. These new people trying to take over. Or?
If they can put out a great performance, and they do the high energy show of back in the day, and they can pull that off with whoever is doing the Paul Starchild, whatever, does the flying leaps and everything, and the Gene with the movement he used to have back then, and still be able to do the fire and all that kind of good stuff. I mean, if they can put a top-notch show in and it sounds pretty tight music-wise, and the vocals are not too far off, I think it might work, you know?
So we come back to what has always been the problem that we've talked about with these sorts of scenarios of replacing members of KISS, that there isn't a decent Paul Stanley out there other than Paul Stanley.
Well, yeah, but Paul, in that one recent interview, said that the Paul doesn't need to be look like him, sound like him.
Yes, it does.
He says he thinks he doesn't.
I'm sorry, Paul Stanley is wrong.
Yes. Julian and I are locked
You never know. I mean, it can't be far off.
You're not going to have
in this case, Paul Stanley in Paul's voice. You know,
you're not going to throw up Doro there to be Paul Stanley.
No,
you have to have someone who sounds convincing, and there's so much more to Paul Stanley's voice. It's his delivery, it's his body language, it's his whole persona. He's the rock and roll preacher. It's the way he sings the songs. That's what so many tribute band Pauls get wrong, that they cannot kind of sing the way that he taught himself to sing. And he's got two different styles, because early style, and then when he started singing more from the gut, he evolved. Paul Stanley is unique. I've heard very few. I would love someone out there to say, hey, Julian, check out this video on YouTube. This guy sounds like Paul. I would love someone to say that, and, let us post it in the threads of wherever we post these episodes, because we'd all like to check out if you know someone who you think could be a Paul Stanley replacement. I say Paul Stanley is irreplaceable. Gene Simmons is totally replaceable. In everything that he does, it's more kind of paint by numbers. It's taken, where the sources are, where the character comes from, where the acting is coming from the movies, from watching Dust, everything on stage. People nail the tongue shit with Gene all the time, even the girl bands.
We've all been to tribute bands where wow, there was a really good Ace Frehley there was a really good Peter Criss, there was a really good Gene Simmons there. But the hardest one is Paul Stanley. There's very few times I've walked away and said, wow, that was a great Paul Stanley.
Yeah, I've walked away and said, he's done a great job, but he's no Paul Stanley.
That's fine.
Rich from Mr. Speed does a good job, though.
These tribute bands are not recruited. It's like, okay, sure. Yeah, we have a KISS tribute band. We need you to be this person and this person. If the guy sings decently, it's good enough for the tribute band, and he can play the guitar. But I think I bet you there is a Paul Stanley, not perfect clone, but voice out there and attitude that can, hopefully live partly up to what Paul is. I mean, if you even just go back to, I know we talked about Journey before, but with like Arnell with Journey, who thought anybody would sound halfway close and real close to Steve Perry's voice? I mean, it is just uncanny, really. So I think there is somebody out there.
So we start.
It's just a matter of
we're going to start our search for the next Paul Stanley in the Philippines.
Well, but
hey, you can put the makeup on. It doesn't matter.
Hey, I think we should start in Thailand or work our way around the whole Southeast Asia.
Right.
It's interesting though, because how you mentioned that the whole YouTube thing. The funny thing was that one of the first times.
Mark,
I'm breaking up again.
Smack your camera.
You just broke up for a moment. Go ahead.
Go. You're clear right now.
I was just gonna say that the first time they replaced the singer in Yes, they did it the same way. They found somebody on YouTube, and they showed it to Chris Squire, and boom, he's like, oh, he does sound a lot like him, and then they brought him in. The guy they have now, to me, I like him a lot better than John Anderson. Sure, throw tomatoes at me for saying it, but I think he's much better. And is it possible there's somebody who could be equal to him? Well, there's be no evidence that there's somebody as good as Paul Stanley out there right now, but how deep of a search has there been for that? That's why I was almost hoping before, when they had that rumor of some big televised search for the next members. Yeah, that's why I was almost hoping they would do it, to see if there was actually somebody that could step up,
Yeah, so how well does it work out for bands that look for clones? You've got Journey and Arnell. You've got Judas Priest and
Foreigner. Foreigner's singer's pretty good.
So it didn't work out so well for Judas Priest, but I think that was more the material because, Jugulator and Demolition really got...
We're not good.
They have a couple
Axl put that guy in a top hat for a little while.
Yeah.
Look how this worked.
It was better than the fucking idiot wearing a bucket.
Right.
Look how what happened. I mean, Bon Scott died and Brian Johnson came in. He's a different kind of voice and singer than Bon was, and it worked. Still worked.
But the material wasn't really different.
Well, there you go. The material's not going to change if they're going to do all their classic stuff. If Kiss is going to just keep doing the same music over and over.
What do you mean if Kiss is going to keep doing the same music?
Well, okay, yeah, they will be doing it over. I'm sorry.
So, Lonnie, you did mention Rich from Mr. Speed. I'll just give a shout out to Jonathan.
He does a great job. He does a great job.
Jonathan from Destroyer. We'll give a shout out to him as well.
Jonathan has St. Louis roots. We bonded in Atlanta.
Yep. So, is it, and this is longevity, let's get back to the marketing side of it a little bit more. Can you market outside of, say, the kind of talent show? I really think that stuff like The Voice, American Idol, Dancing with the Stars, all that shit is being and has been past its sell-by date for quite a few years. Do they need some new ideas to really be kind of thinking of maybe more of a death match situation? Paul Stanley versus Paul Stanley in Judah.
The death match.
Yeah.
Are there new ideas that need to be, totally thought about away from everything that kind of is just so generic at this point? Which, I look at some of these shows, I see some of the judges, I'm like, really? You're fucking kidding me? Lionel Richie, how much safer can you get? I mean, Howard Stern was, again, a good pick. Danger.
Danger, yeah. There you go.
Can American TV handle Danger? Probably not.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Maybe if you're sticking to the music side of things, they should do it. Maybe there's a lot of people doing crossover music. I'm not saying like the Japan.
We want a Christmas album?
Clover thing, but no, crossover meaning with another artist, performing with another artist and releasing music.
Please no.
If they can get a top music artist of it who's out there,
they missed that boat.
Do I don't know. They could still pull it off.
Gaga and Freak would have been it.
Well, that would have been cool.
Gaga and Freak would have been.
I don't want to see anything like fucking Bon Jovi or Def Leppard has done. No.
No?
Okay.
No.
Def Leppard did do that, didn't they?
They did with 9 Lives with Tim McGraw, wasn't it?
The country.
Yeah, I actually preferred Joe's, and Bon Jovi did the full country.
Bon Jovi did that. Yeah.
They went totally country at one point. But then again, they always had kind of undertones. Wanted Dead or Alive had a little bit of country western underneath.
The only other thing I could think of is to, make Kiss somehow dangerous again. And I don't know how they do it unless they release an album called Knights in Satan's Service and then and start going
just fully embrace it.
Fully embrace it and write songs and that.
Executing chickens on stage. And since Ozzy never really did it, biting the heads off bats and just do it all. And of course, Kiss does have the country connection with Garth Brooks, right? So
right,
yeah. But somehow be controversial. Not just Gene Simmons on Fox or something getting kicked off. Something. That's Kiss itself trying to be controversial, and I don't know if any these days there's so many bad things out there.
But the thing is,
they could do it.
I don't know, but the controversial thing, it's a good idea, Ken. The only thing with that I find, though, is that always seems to be, for some reason, a young man's game. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know too many 65-year-old, guys who are like, you know, dangerous and daring like that, you know, like it's almost, that's why I almost say that I'd almost like for them to, not to say that to do this, but I'd almost like it if they had some sort of underling or understudy with them that they could have, that people can start focusing on them a bit as well as the guys, and then have those guys start doing all the dangerous crap, you know, or saying all the controversial stuff, and just get people used to the idea of having somebody else.
Maybe.
Tommy, what about this? Alice Cooper played King Herod in the live version of Jesus Christ Superstar on Easter night. Now that was really cool.
Yeah.
And he got the biggest applause out of anybody other than when Jesus came out on stage for the first time. I mean, how about something like that?
Yeah.
I'm not saying, you know, Kiss Me. I mean, I'm not saying, you know, Phantom of the Opera or something like that. I don't think Paul could pull it off, you know, 20 years later now.
Well,
but maybe, I mean, I don't know. But maybe something like that. Where Alice, you know, got a nice little spike in popularity from that. I think it drew attention to Alice because he did a fantastic job.
Yeah, we'll talk about the.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, talking about the TV thing again is, I mean, Access TV, right? They do a lot of rock and roll stuff, and they got some reality stuff. But maybe they do a reality type Kiss reality where Kiss is going out, and you watch them as they go out and try to find their replacements, make that part of the thing. And maybe there's some things like, you know, they say things like that, you're a piece of crap, this guy is no good, and then they fight over who's going to be the Paul Stanley or whatever. I mean, something
I know what you're saying,
to follow the process. And it's almost soap opera-ish maybe, but it's a kind of reality, and trying to see what happens, and maybe somehow people can get, you know, invested in something like that, like a weekly show. You know, I don't know how long it would run, but
because North American television seems to be like that. It's like, it almost seems like when there's something like controversially said, that's what they talk about the next day, right? So I see what you're going with there, Ken, with that whole thing, you know, calling them crap or saying that they're shit or whatever, eh? You know, because you'd have 100 people saying, I can't believe that Gene said that about that poor guy, you know, like you could see that happening.
got the makeup wrong.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Saw the wrong eye.
Yeah, you know, all Gene has to do is he has to leverage his Twitter account.
Was trying to do the flames.
Self-immolation on TV.
It's like,
oops. Next. So, you know, any of it could work. Any of it could be a complete disaster at this point. I don't know. I don't know how much it's even worth the effort at this point, rather than letting, you know, Kiss just become memories.
It's going to fade away.
I would always be more comfortable with kind of the way, as Mark mentioned, how Rush handled things. They finished, they decided that they didn't want to continue, and maybe, you know, maybe Geddy and Alex will get together and do some music. I kind of hope so, but not ever under the banner of Rush without Neil, even if he writes the lyrics, because I really don't want to hear too many more albums with lyrics by Geddy or Alex. I have listened to Geddy's solo album and to Alex's, and of course, yeah, the first Rush album's okay, but it's certainly not worth comparing with Crest of Steel.
Surprised Mark didn't jump through the screen at you right then.
But, you know, maybe, Mark, you know, what Kiss really needs at this stage for this whole TV kind of quest for new members is also to be working in the studio on a concept album at the same time, because you have to have a concept musically to go with your quest. If you're looking for new members, you're writing a song, but you have to have a story that represents Kiss, be it like Motley Crue and The Dirt and the soundtrack to that movie that's being made. And just holy shit, how bad those actors look in that fucking TV movie that's being made.
So new music for these new people or whoever the guys they're going to pick to sing.
Yeah, I think there has to be new music for the guys to sing, but they you have to give someone a Paul Stanley song to do convincingly. You have to give a Peter Criss character a cat. There I go. I said Peter Criss instead of Catman. That's just the way I think of it. You have to.
You got to give the Ace guy a spacey song to sing.
Yeah, no, you have to give the Ace Frehley, the spaceman, like Shock Me to see if he can do it convincingly with the solo and all that. You have to give the Demon or Bat Lizard or whatever the fuck, Deuce to do. You got to give Detroit Rock City, and then obviously with the Catman, you got to give them Beth and see how well that they can do those. And then you have to give them a new song in the style of those characters, because if you're going to move away into the character, they have to be able to do the character. That means that the Catman has to have a gravelly, whiskey, barbed wire, gargle voice like Bob Seger or Peter Criss, and be able to pull it off and do something in that style, because most of Peter's stuff is, you kind of define what a Peter Criss song in Kiss was. You've got to do the same with all the other members. So, your first song is Kiss. Your next one is New Kiss. Without turning it into demented monkeys.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to me, it's appealing. I mean, that idea of, having some sort of a thing where you follow along and they do that, because I want Kiss to continue, believe it or not. All the people out there who call me Kiss haters and stuff like that, but I actually want Kiss to continue. I love Kiss. I have, lots of Kiss albums. I just don't like Bob Ezrin, but that's a different story, right?
Yeah.
But
another show.
We just had to go there, didn't we, Mark? We just can't get through
get through a show.
episode.
Through one show.
So, but hopefully they won't do a search for another Bob Ezrin. That would be terrible. But anyways, but I like that idea though. I think, and I hope that they do something where it continues, because I think their music is too good to just let it become a distant memory for everybody,
I've said it before. You want to turn the band into Menudo.
Menudo.
Or manure. Kind of rhymes. Let it die. All things must end.
Yeah.
Including this episode. Any final thoughts, folks? And I do have one last thing I want to raise with all of you. I don't know if any of you have had the chance to kind of watch it yet on YouTube. Bon Jovi and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction took place last weekend. Right. And I actually did spend time watching it, as much as I hate Bon Jovi. I own 2 albums, Slippery and Tokyo Road, greatest hits. Did they handle it better than Kiss handled it? And who kind of wins that war of Kiss in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and Bon Jovi in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? I'd like to just start off with one quick point. Howard Stern fucking wins for bashing Jan Wenner and everything that he stands for in his shitty little magazine that's now down to a pamphlet size.
Smaller and smaller, yeah.
Not being a musician, not being able to play an instrument, and having all this clout in the music industry. I thought that was absolutely hilarious. The speeches that were given by the band, John's was way too long, but I loved how he walked through the history and mentioned people along the way. I kind of hoped that Paul Stanley would have done that with his, because he's kind of the sort of guy who can do that. They included Alec. They included Richie. Richie was pretty well. Right. He looked pretty ripped, but walking on stage with his arm around, John, bespoke a certain amount of
back in the band
camaraderie. That the doors open. They acknowledged Phil X and the replacement guys who weren't up on stage. They had Huey up on stage to be inducted with them. Lonnie, what are your thoughts on that? I hate to make you talk about Bon Jovi rather than Guns N' Roses.
I've seen Bon Jovi live, so it was actually the first concert I went to was a Bon Jovi concert.
What tour? Keep the Faith?
Keep the Faith. Exactly right.
Keep the faith.
So I enjoyed it. I don't dislike Bon Jovi, and good for them. I was glad to see that he can put his arm around Richie, and it was something that was missing from Kiss. Instead of being an awkward moment with the 4 of them up on the stage together, knowing that boy, these four guys really hate each other. So, you know, good for them. And I was glad to see the mention of all the members. So, and that's one thing that was missing from Kiss. I know that, you know, Bruce was in attendance and Eric and Tommy, you know, but there was no mention of Vinnie that night or anything like that, obviously. So, good for them. I'm not a huge Bon Jovi guy. I tolerate him, so you know, kudos to them. But I wish Judas Priest would be there. I think it's still a shame.
Oh, yeah.
It's still a shame that there's so many great bands that aren't there. And like, say what you want about Eddie Trunk, but as Eddie Trunk has said in the past, even when the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame will get it right, they still will have gotten it wrong because it took so long to get so many of these great acts that they just don't like into their little specific club.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, most of the great bands will be dead before they get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It'll be posthumous, which is very unfortunate, or they simply won't be able to perform. And you know, Bon Jovi's performance was a fucking train wreck. Just imagine what Kisses could have been.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, we're better off that they didn't.
I don't think it could have been worse. I think it would have been perfectly
we're better off that they did. We're better off that they didn't perform. As much as we all wanted to see the original four perform one last time, that could have been the one opportunity to do it. It could have been a complete nightmare and disaster, and visually and sonically just awful and just cringeworthy as the last time you get to see them together.
But look at how Bon Jovi handled it. They had Huey up there playing the first couple of songs. They brought in Alec for the last one. Kiss could have done that easily with Tommy and Eric. They could have started off, with maybe 2 songs, then brought in Peter for Beth, and then brought in Ace for Rock and Roll All Night, or
everybody for Rock and Roll All Night.
But that's the thing that I don't understand about this whole thing. Maybe I'm not in the loop with this kind of thing, but why is it though that that happened then? Like, why is it that Kiss, we know, they would have wanted those other guys up there to play with them and to appear on stage with them, and they didn't? And why is it that a band like Bon Jovi was allowed to do that, or even other bands that have done it?
They demanded Kiss wear makeup or no, don't perform. I thought that was it.
That's what Kiss says. Did Kiss want to make sure that the iconic faces were the only ones represented, or else it was kept to a minimum? It kind of swings both ways. I totally get that they want to protect the marketing and keep that side of it completely to the 4 original makeup faces, which they cannot get away with doing. Tommy and Eric. Tommy was not a member of the band 25 years ago. But yet Huey played on the early shit as well, and it was apparently on a lot of the kind of the studio recordings. Was not Alec, but because he was a member. It's fucked up. I mean, you look at Grateful Dead, you look at we always go back to these kind of things. It seemed to be rules made on a case-by-case basis depending on how much they hate the band that they're being forced to induct. So,
Bruce Springsteen, they got everybody and his mother inducted.
Yeah.
But how much of a fight did Gene and Paul? Too. By that point, the Gene and Paul, I think, wanted it more than anything, and they were not willing to put up a fight because they were finally getting in. They may have been said that this is like, Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame. This is your last chance to get in. This is it. Take it or leave it. Because Jan will make sure that you're never on the ballot again. It's messed up.
It's a shame.
Whatever. I thought that the Bon Jovi thing was a nice way to handle all these kind of political issues within a band and make sure that everyone goes home happy, because their fans at least got to see all of the members up on stage performing. Again, they're not wearing makeup. They don't have that kind of baggage to go with them, but they do have the drama that goes along with it. All right. I think that's it for today. Let's call it a show. So, from Lonnie, from Ken, from Mark, and myself, thank you for listening. Chime in wherever you do follow this show and give us your opinion on what we've discussed today. And we'll see you next time. Bye for now. Thank you for spending time listening to the KissFAQ podcast today. All sales are final. There are no refunds. If you'd like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the KissFAQ message board and discuss the topic we broadcast today. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes, Spreaker, or wherever you've listened to the show. We hope you'll join us again.